So team, welcome to the Selenium Training Day 1 for a new batch, the Jan 11th batch of 2012. Thank you for being here. Welcome to everyone who's participating, and very quickly we'll try and guide you through what we will do today. 85% of the focus of today's session will be on learning Selenium. This is not a training overview. This is not to give you an introduction about what happens and so on, because everything that you need is there on the website, or you could always contact me through email. But a few quick messages and then we will get started. If you visit my website seleniumelearn.com, you would see the Selenium training overview. This is a very quick, about 12-13 minutes video explaining all about the training. So if you're looking at what the training is all about, please watch this. Questions you can write to the email that is displayed on the top right. Now, there will be a lot of videos that you will need to watch as part of this course. Live sessions is not comprehensive. They do not cover everything. The videos is your base. So the whole content of your training is available through videos. These live webinars are more for people who are interested to get a quick overview or who want to interact with each other. Okay, primarily with me, not with each other. And, try and see what's happening. So the same live sessions that we are having today, that you're participating, where you're hearing and interacting with me, is getting recorded and will get hosted for your viewership later. All right. Also, team, do note that there is a very new thing that I'm introducing as part of the whole training. Let me, in fact, first show you the screencast where the videos are hosted. Then I can take you forward with the next one. So I'm not going to spend too much time, but just the required amount. All right, team. So here is a folder where I have all my videos hosted, and you will be shared about 4 to 5 different folders. In each of these folders, you will find a lot of content, many sessions explaining at a detailed level all the concepts: IDE, Eclipse, RC, JUnit, Java, TestNG, WebDriver. But more importantly, there is a lot of focus on the data-driven framework. You'll see a lot of sessions. Keyword-driven framework, how we develop them. Hybrid framework, how we develop them, that is HF out here. And how we work with databases, grade framework, and lot of other things. So this is your core. Everything that you need is out here. All right. Apart from this, like we are having these 15 sessions in a live environment, you will be accessible. You will have access to about 3 or 4 other previous batches where you can look at some of the videos. For example, Selenium November 10th batch, there are about 15 videos in there that you could access and get a good refresh. Your class scripts, as they happen, I will be hosting them in the same folder. So someone who has an access to this folder can view the videos and be able to click on these class files and can download them onto the system, unzip it, and see everything that we do. Okay. The other thing that I'm doing, team, is I have come up with a very new thing after discussing with my team on it, called Selenium QA. Yeah, this is the one. So here is a very small short form, team, and this is also explained in the text that you see, but let me give you a very, very quick overview about what it is. All right, let me put that link also in the chat for everyone. So team, just hold on a second. All right, had to get that phone off the hook, otherwise too much of disturbance there. So team, what I want to do is this. I want to create a very, very strong training program out of the whole thing. As these sessions are happening, as the videos are being watched, you might be someone who's watching the videos. About 80% of my whole participation comes just to watch the videos. They don't even have the schedule to be able to attend the live webinar. So video is the most popular one. As you watch the videos or as you attend these sessions, you will have an opportunity to take down notes, important points that you feel on the tool that you have learned today, let's say about 5-6 points. You will also be able to gather some questions that have not been answered or you require answers. What I want each of you to do is visit this website, seleniumelan.com/selenium-qa, which is also put on the chat. And out here, what you could do is you could pick up, this is only for the live videos, you could pick up which day of the video are you watching. Let's say day 1, day 2, and so on. And what is your question? For example, something regarding Selenium. You may have an answer to it. Good. If you have an answer, you provide that answer. Otherwise, just say that you don't have an answer. Okay? And just your name and email address at the end. What I intend to do with this is I would like to create a huge set of common question and answers attached with each video. So as someone is watching, you will not only see your questions getting answered, you will also see what are the questions that are coming up from the other participants and the answers to it. Me and my team, we will going to monitor this submissions, collect them, consolidate it, and put it along with that video for you to access. All right, team. So please do use this. I will also inform each of you about it over the emails going forward. Okay. So any question regarding the training or anything to do with, first please do watch that video as I mentioned out here, and from there you can take it forward. You can write an email if you have additional questions. All right. All right, team. So with that said, I would like to get started with the training itself. Are there any quick important questions or issues at this point before I move forward? All right, team. So let's get started then. What I'm going to do to begin with, team, is I'm going to go to my C drive. Under the C drive, I've created a folder called Selenium. I want you to create a subfolder under that, like I do here, with the name J11. That's the code for this ongoing batch. Okay. So if you pick up this folder, we start with an empty thing. But towards the end of it, you will see that we will develop a lot of scripts. There'll be a lot of stuff which will come as part of this, which we will develop going forward. Okay. So as a beginning point to it, what I want to do is pick up a simple Excel as a template and then be able to move forward from there. Let me take one from the previous batch, put it in here, and we'll come back to this. So team, primarily, what is Selenium, what is it, and so on. I think you all are aware that is the reason you're here, so I'll not spend too much time on it, but do realize the fact that Selenium test automation tool is an extremely in-demand and rapidly growing in terms of usage worldwide. Okay, so this is a tool which is an open source, so initial license fee and all that is reduced, but that is not the reason 90% of the corporates are going for it. The reason being that it can do cross-browser testing. You could do your programming in any background knowledge. You could run your tests much faster for functional automation and so on. Okay, I do realize that 60% of my participants are absolutely beginning into IT, and that is how I'll try and focus. As we go along, you will learn a lot about the tool, but in a very practical manner. All right. So to start with, team, I take only projects and try and explain everything in a project manner. Even the Java coding, I don't want to say that here is Java, here is how we'll do it. It will not sit very well with you. However, as I explain it as part of a need that we will see in a project, you will really be able to master that very, very easily to whatever extent we need. All right. So I'm going to take a sample application, and this is the one we're going to start with. This is something called as a ChaseStudentLoans.com. Now let me talk about functional testing at a high level and what we're going to talk about in terms of automation. The whole idea, team, is that any application that you pick, could be on your project that you're working on, could be on a client that you're working on, and so on. You are expected to test to see how the functionality is working. So every application comes with a set expected functionality. That's your testing portion of it, right? So for example, let me give you a quick test scenario or a small functionality of this application. There's something called as a budget calculators. The reason I take very simple applications to begin with is then our focus will be more on learning the tool rather than focusing on the application. Then we will go advanced. Okay. The Chase Student Loans Calculator is a very simple application. Students and people who members who are looking for student loans to calculate what kind of loans they need, they can use this functionality to be able to enter certain expenses that they incur on a monthly basis. I'm just entering some random numbers out here, and let's say that they have certain potential for job income and so on that they're generating. And when they enter certain numbers out here based on their need and they click on calculate, this application should process the results by adding everything on this column and displaying it here, number one, adding everything on this column and displaying it out here, number two, and giving the difference between these two as number 3 output. And that is what a student will look at as to how much they need to borrow. Alright, now the intent of someone who's working as part of this organization or a similar application somewhere else is to see that this application is working correctly or not. So how do we go about doing it? The first thing, team, that I would love to always do is start with an Excel document just as a plan. The reason is it gives us a very strong point to start with. So out here, I'll start putting some quick information and then we can move forward. So this is the website. I'm going to say that the application that I'm interested to test, forget about automation for now, is this. The functionality is student loan calculator program. Okay, browsers doesn't matter. We want to test it on various browsers. Now, what is it that we do as manual users to test it? What do we mean by testing it? Basically going to see if things are working correctly or not. Here are the steps that we were going to follow in that case. Number one, we will open the browser, we will go to the application, we'll enter the values, we'll process, or what's that button that we saw out here? Calculate. Okay, hit calculate button. Okay, we will capture the results, compare the results, and close the browser. Right? If I enter these sets of data and it works correctly, can I certify that this application works perfect? Not necessarily. It may be working for one set of data, but someone coming in and entering a different number or alphanumeric thing and clicking on calculate, does it show or react in a certain manner? All right, and it may all be working good for numbers without decimal, but suddenly someone starts entering decimals, then there is an issue. So there are various opportunities that an error can come up, and your duty is to try and test it out on multiple of these things. So that is how typically we do it manually. Now, as manual users, if I share the sheet with everyone, each one of you will be easily able to understand what to do, how to do. Most importantly, what are the values we want to enter, I should be able to specify. And when the user clicks on a calculate button, how is the calculation done so that I can compare it, right? So if I provide that basic information, you should be able to go ahead and test it. Forget about any tool. Now, let's create a very quick sample test data. This is from an old batch, but like the format. So I'm going to take expenses, let's say tuition, books, and food. I'm just taking 3 items for now, team. Books, food. These are my expenses. Okay. Now let's give a different color to the income. I have a job income, and let's say there is a savings, but savings is a fixed one. Job and grants. Okay. So I'm going to take 2 of them. Job, Grand. And now out here is going to be my result, the end out of it. Okay, so some random numbers to be entered out here. I already have some numbers, not worried about what they are. It's just the fact that I need some numbers out here for now. Team, any questions that you seem to be coming up with, feel free to put them on the chat, please. That way I should be able to get to them as I come to a logical pause in the program. Okay, so here is something called as my data. Why did I create this? So that we can then say that, hey, you know, I've done it for this. I expected something. I got something. What is it that we expected? Can't we put that? Absolutely yes. So I'm going to do 3 more columns here. And the first I'll say is expense expected, or expense TOT, I'm going to say income TOT, and loan total. Okay, these 3 columns are basically what we're going to expect out of the application. Then I can create 3 more similar columns as to what I got. Copy. Set copied cells, what I get out of the application. So out here I'm going to put a expense, a income. Once I create this team, it will be very easy for me to navigate you through what I intend to do. Okay, let's put this in a different color. Alright, so if a user comes in and he or she is entering information, the application is supposed to give results. These I can calculate right away out here. How? The formula is very simple. I'm going to add up sum of these 3 fields is what we will get as expected. Okay. Then for an income total, it is sum of these 2 fields. Okay. That's a simple Excel formula that I've used for sum of these 2 that we expect. The loan total is basically the difference between, how does the application do it? My expenses minus my income. There you go. This minus this. That is the expected loan based on the inputs that we enter. So here is our input team. This is what we will enter. This is what we will expect to see. Now, as we go, take each of these fields manually, put it in the application, process it, get the values back here and fill them here, compare them and put a result. What is the challenge that we'll face going forward? Your number 1 challenge team is going to be in terms of your accuracy. Alright, you may make a manual entry error. There was supposed to be 784 here. What happens if you write 7184? You get a totally different result. So then you have a wrong or a false alarm coming up. Your accuracy is very important. Then there is also the efficiency. How efficient are these tests? I will take, let's say, about 10 minutes for these 4. But is this my only set of data? No, this is a sample. I should be able to execute hundreds of sets of data, but that will take me hours together. And as I tend to get weaker over the hour, I tend to also lose on accuracy. The third component is reusability. In the sense that, great, I took those hours of effort, I tried to be accurate, I was not too efficient, but at least I got my results done. End of it, after a month or so, you will see that the application went through certain simple small changes. Then what happens? Hey, test engineers, thank you for your effort last time. Can you go back and repeat that whole process again? So you have to do the exact same thing over and over and over again. And that becomes an issue with you. Efficiency, how quickly are you able to do things? What is the output values and so on? What is the return on investment? How much of it can you reuse the next time? And how accurate are things for you? This is your challenge team with your manual testing. Everything typically falls under these three wide categories. Now, when we automate, we are trying to give a solution out of this, and that's our automation testing. 90% of our focus team is to do automation, not really testing. Why? Because when we try and automate, there are lots of things to learn. Just applying this, automatically we will get our test results at the end. Priority number one is automation. How can we learn or teach a tool to perform the same steps that we perform manually? That's the intent. Make sense, everyone? Now let me quickly look at any relevant questions, then I'll be able to answer them. So team, just to let you know, there are over 60 members currently in the audience. So kindly keep your questions relevant to what we are doing in the session right now. What are the differences between QTP Selenium off the chart question? Are we doing cross-browser testing off the chart question? I mean, these are important questions that deserve an answer, but this is not the forum for it, not right now. As we get into it, yes. Or you can use the Google group where you all have membership to and be able to access that from there. Okay. All right. Let me quickly scan and see what do I have here. In regards to webinar example, do you advise each video to watch completion as I notice somewhere session 1 to 70? Yeah, so there are lots of sessions, videos and all that. You can watch them. Typically people try and repeat it a couple of times because they learn a lot. The first 2-3 sessions tend to go in a very slow pace so that people catch up with the whole idea, but then we really go aggressive in new things. Okay, sorry, what is E again? E is efficiency. If I take 10 hours to do this manually, if I automate this process, will I be able to do it in 1 hour or even better in 10 minutes? That is your E. And so basically, how are we able to cut down on the time? Perfect. Now, to teach a tool to automate, remember this team. You have to give instructions. What does it mean? You are the master. So unless you are in perfect control on two key aspects, you cannot successfully automate. The number one is your knowledge on the application. You need to know the exact instructions. So clearly defining those steps, very, very important. Enter values. What values, where, how, all of that have to be expanded. This is a very high level plan. Okay. Hit the calculate button, capture the results from where to where, how. All of this have to be presented in a very detailed manner. The second most important, the first thing what I was telling you team is your knowledge and grip on that, the domain knowledge skill on that application. The second is your knowledge and grip on the tool. The tool can be having a good UI. It could also have a programming, but a whole combination of what to use, where to use, how do you encounter, how do you approach when you encounter issues and all that. That's the core. All right, great. So now having done this, how do we automate? To automate, there are questions to be asked, and those are the things that are mentioned here. If I have to teach a system to do it, I have to answer questions. Open a browser. How do we open a browser? Where do we open a browser from? How will it work? Go to the application URL. So unless you give specific instructions on each of them, a tool cannot perform that. Okay, that is the most important thing. Now, how does Selenium work? So let's look at this now very quickly, how this is going to work. So number one team, there are lots of free videos already available which talk about installing various tools. The two most important tools that you need is one, your Selenium IDE and your Firebug. That is what you need to start with. How do you install Selenium IDE? Very simple. You can actually go to Google and say Selenium, and you can visit seleniumhq.org. Go to the download Selenium part here. All right. You will see Selenium IDE. That is where we are right now. We will then get into the Selenium RC or server and then get into WebDriver and other areas. Okay. Now, out here, you will see something called as the latest version, whatever is available. Click on it and it will install it onto your Firefox browser automatically. Okay, it will guide you through the next steps. Very simple, very easy steps to follow. How about Firebug? Very simple. How we're going to use, what are those things for? We'll come to it. Do a similar thing on Firebug. You will get to getfirebug.com. That's the website. Go out there. If it is not already installed, you will see, did I click on it? Yes, I did. You will see an installation there. These are again free tools. Almost everything that we use as part of this training is an open source or a free tool team. Okay, so not for the videos, not for anything else. So if you're trying to make a payment, it's a good idea to approach me before you do anything anywhere else like that. Okay. Now you have installed Firebug. Again, very simple steps. These will get installed onto your browser. When we have done that, you will see that under your Firefox, you can go to your web developer section. As the new versions of Firefox has come up, you will see that the menu bar has moved. All of these things have happened. You can look at Selenium IDE out here and Firebug. These are the most two important things that you need. Everything else is secondary right now. So what is Selenium IDE? Selenium IDE is basically, it is the user interface for generating these automation tests very quickly. So whatever we have seen here as part of this Excel, IDE can learn them systematically and perform and repeat the same steps. That's basically your record and run. Okay, I will not go in depth on the IDE team because that is not the focus, but for the first couple of days I will have to show you how it works. Good starting point. Once we get to the programming using our Java TestNG or JUnit, everything we will do through the coding and the Firebug itself. Okay, out here the first thing you got to be aware, team, is that this button out here, it's called the record. So anything that we do is now getting recorded. Is it like a video recording? No. Whatever steps we've performed, the questions that we've asked here will get answered automatically by the tool when we do that record. When we do this record, you will start and perform those activities. You'll start seeing steps getting generated, and those are your starting points. Let's take a quick look at how it's going to happen. So what's my URL? This is my URL. So I'm going to copy it onto my Firefox. All right, and start with our Selenium IDE. All right, team. So now I don't believe too much in the theory aspect. Everything can be done in a very practical manner. So let's start doing it. Do you see this recording enabled? Now, what is my process? The first thing, I have to go to budget calculators, correct? So I'm going to click on this link. As I click on this link, you will see certain things getting generated. These are your IDE steps. Okay. And let's say I go here and I enter some value. You will see another line getting generated. Let's enter a job income, another line getting generated. Food, let's say about $250, another line. And grants, let's say about $150, another line. So now, as you perform the user steps, Selenium IDE is capturing, understanding what we have done. Now, finally, I click on calculate. It captures that step as well, and we are done with that process. Now I have to start to compare. Let's come to the comparison part later. Let's go in step by step, see if it has learned what we've asked it to learn. So you are the master, you are giving instructions. Now let's see if Selenium has learned this. Now we're going to say stop that recording. Now we have unclicked that. What Selenium has done, team, it has generated 3 columns. The first is called command, the next is called target, and the third is called value. It's a very, very simple structure and very easy to understand. Command is basically the what part. What is it that we wish to perform? Target is our where part. Great, I want to open what a URL. I want to go to a website. So that base URL followed by this is your main URL. The open command goes there. Click and wait is a command basically saying I will click on a link Where is that link? On the page, and here is the identification for it. Type saying that we will type something, and here is the identification for it. So the what part is what is it that we are doing? Are we typing? Are we selecting? Are we clicking? Are we verifying? Are we opening? All of these commands that we do, team, are getting captured. Okay, as you will start to explore different applications, then you'll start to see that IDE has not been built to capture everything. It is a good starting point, but then it has got its own limitations. Okay, we will come to that part later. Target is the where part. Fair enough, I want to open. Fair enough, I can click. We can enter some text or so on. But where should we enter? Should I enter tuition here or here or here or here or here? So identifying where that specific that command has to be performed is your target. And sometimes you need to provide additional things like values. Fair enough, you want to type where you want to type here, but what do you want to type again? That becomes your value. All right, command, target, value. Now, how do you learn these commands? As we start seeing what each of these steps do, you will learn them automatically. You don't need to refer a manual and start seeing what are all the commands, how do we master them. No. You start working, start practicing, you will automatically start learning about the commands. When you explore things, you will start learning. How about the target? That is something we need to really master right away. We don't want to wait too long in mastering them. How does Selenium identify each of these things? Okay, value, nothing big. Whatever we are entering out here is getting captured. Okay, too messy a screen, right? So let me erase all that. There you go. So with this said, team, it has learned the instructions. Now, can I give an instruction to the IDE saying that, can you show me what you have learned? And now you will start seeing some of the features here. Okay, you can run it very, very quickly, or you can slow down the speed of execution. Okay, let me move it to kind of a slower mode. You can record multiple test cases. This is one test case. I can create different test cases in a similar fashion and say, run all the test cases one by one. Okay, or I can click on this icon and it will just run that specific test case. So if I click on this, you will see that that will start to get generated. See, you'll see open, green, 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 click. Do you see this happening, team? All that you have given instructions are now getting performed on the application. Now that's basically one of your test cases. Let's do a rerun of it. As you run them, you will see the lines start with yellow. As they're getting executed, will get converted to that light green as they're complete to execute, and you'll start seeing a log getting generated for each of them. All right, makes sense so far? Now, let's say that I go to a different application altogether and try and experiment the same thing. How about first saving this test case, giving it a name? So I'm going to go to C drive, to my Selenium J11, and call this as, I have to even change the name of that, CSL1 is the name. I don't know what type and all that. Just save it right now. You have saved this. Now I'm going to say, let's say new test case. So like we did here, now I'm saying let's try and do another experiment. Let's go to a website like kayak.com. Reservations website. You can book your hotels, flights, car rentals, and so on. Right? Now I will try and perform some steps in a similar fashion and try and record them. Now let's say I want to enter one way. Okay, and I want to enter Los Angeles. It is already here. Let's say I want to enter New York. Okay, now I want to enter San Jose. Now let's say I want to select a date, 19th Feb. Okay, and say non-stop. And I'm going to say budget air and compare it with some other websites as well. And click on search. Okay, what you will see is you will see multiple browsers getting opened up, some small alerts coming up, and your IDE is capturing a lot of this information as well. Am I really worried about what it is doing? No, but I want to test and see how it is performing. So let me stop this out here and close the ones that I don't need. There's so many things that got opened up. All these unneeded browsers, I'm just going to close it for now. Now let's try and see how if we can repeat the same thing. So I'm going to say play this current test case. So we'll start with going to kayak.com. I've entered New York. Then what do I see happening out here now? It has failed on a specific step. How do I know it has failed? Because as it started getting generated from a yellow to a green, you will see that one step didn't move forward from this, and it got stuck here. It is trying to click on something specifically. What is it doing? Click. Where is it trying to click? Whatever is described by this whole text out here. But then it is saying that it's failed, and if you go to the log, it will show you why it failed. Element blah 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 not found. What is the issue with it? Not sure. Okay, let's say I don't want this step. We will delete it. So right click and say delete this step. Now let's try and rerun this test. So it's moving forward, it's trying to go forward and so on. Now it is doing something, but you get some other issue saying the pop-ups is not, it's preventing and so on. So as you try and experiment different application, your IDE is not primarily built for it. Honestly, team, I am not an expert on IDE. I have very, very little knowledge on IDE because I've spent very, very little time on it. Your time should be on element identification, this target, how the commands work, and how do we go about creating our own tests using a programming language. All right. The reason I wanted to show this to you is only from a specific perspective that things can go wrong with IDE. Things seem to be getting generated, but then they can break up very easily. So team, at this moment, any question before I move forward, please? Can we use Selenium to test one mobile applications web services? Again, Madhu, not something that is part of what we're doing today. You should put that within the Google group. Let's see. Can Selenium be used to automate Windows-based application? Again, Selenium is a browser-based application. Okay, your mobile devices have something like a simulated browser, like an Android browser, like an iPhone browser, and all that. Your Selenium, you can use your web drivers to interact with your application sites using those browsers. You're basically simulating how do those applications look on different types of mobile devices, and how can you perform the same test. Yes, you could perform that. Not window based or a client server based application, no. As long as the application is a web based, yes. From the last 3 to 4 minutes, audio is bad. Anyone else having an issue with the audio, team? I see one of you have an issue with the audio. Anyone else? Anyone who's, have you tried to use the mic and speakers option? Is it breaking now, or has it been breaking for a long time? Okay, so let me try and switch. Give me 1 second. Hold on a second, team.
Welcome to GoTo Training, online training made easy. There are 58 other callers on the call.
Team, is this any better? Yes? Alright. So please, if you see audio dropping out for any reason, let me know. I can try and quickly tune something up. Okay? Alright. So team, the intent of this exercise so far has been to show that IDE can do certain things, and as you start to see, you will start seeing the steps getting generated. Now I want to take this a level further. Okay, I can have my test paused at certain points. They're called as breakpoints. So right click and say toggle breakpoint. Okay, and why is it still showing pause? Okay, and I can now run my test to go through those specific till that specific breakpoint. Okay, when we do that, you will see the test running and they stopping at that specific point. What happened to my test? Why is it not running? Is it still referring something? No. Play current test case. Okay, there you go. And it will give a pause at that point. So basically we're saying, hey, run the test, but wait at that point. Okay, you could just to see what is happening on the application and so on. That is the intent for such a wait. Now, a very simple thing, but an important thing. Great, I could instruct Selenium to record the inputs, where to click, where to enter values and so on. But after we have completed and we click on the calculate, how can we get these outputs back out here? That's going to be the next thing that is important. So team, just one more deviation. Is my audio okay for everyone, please? Okay, good. So looks like it's good for all. If one or two of you have an issue, sometimes it could be a network related. I'll appreciate if you log out, log back, or just follow those instructions that I've shown during out here. Okay, you can choose your mic and speakers. Just check there. All right. So what's this? Okay, where am I? Out here. So team, in fact, I've gone much slower than I anticipated for this session, but that's good. Not an issue. So now execution done. So out here, I want few things to be done. After I've clicked, why am I running so slow? So that I can see what each step is doing. Open. We have not come to identifying the targets yet. Now we're going to do that. Then we're saying do something. Now, before I do the click, let's say what are those three things I wanted? Tuition, books, and food. Then job and grant. What all did I enter so far? Tuition, food, books is missed out. Where do I want to enter books? Actually, for this application, the order doesn't matter, but I want to enter it before food. Though it doesn't matter, I'm saying, where is that food? Where am I entering food? Is this the step which is entering into food? Or this one? Or this one? How do we know that? When you go to a specific step, you will see the same three things getting displayed out here. And when you click on the find button, Selenium IDE will highlight that element or object in the application that specific target is relating to. So this is your tuition. Do you see this tuition? That's your tuition. Now let's select this. Now let's go and click on find. You will see something else getting highlighted. Similarly, another find, you will see another thing getting highlighted. At this point, if I go right click and say that before I start entering something, let's say after tuition, before this job, I right click and say insert new command. Here is where I want to enter a step for the books. So how do I do it? So type. Do we type here? Is that the right command? Not sure. What you do, team, is by experience you saw that type is taking some information from value and putting it in a target, right? So if I say type out here in the command box, you will start seeing all the commands that start with the word type. You click on type, you will see the documentation for it. What does it say? It says sets the value of an input field as though you typed it in. That is how you learn these commands, team. Okay, start experimenting, start seeing the commands and start putting them. When we go to a WebDriver, you will see that the commands itself will change. Okay, but that's okay. We will come up with this new learning of those commands at that time. Now, let's assume that type is the one. I'm not saying type. What are the other things that have come up? And wait. Type keys and wait. See, each thing is a little different. what is type keys, you will see a different meaning for it. Okay, so the command that I confidently think I can use is type. Okay, now the target. How do I identify this? Can I say name tuition, name job, name food, name grants? That means that something like name equals some values out here on the text. So should I say name books and see if it works? Let's experiment. Name equals books. And click on find before I do anything else. Does Selenium IDE find that element? Do you see that yellow highlight coming up, team? Find. Perfect. It's working. Now I want to put some value there. Let's say 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now I want to rerun this whole test. No more pausing out here. So I will take this breakpoint out. Right click, take the breakpoint out. Run this test again. Now it's starting from the beginning, entering everything, but will it enter 1, 2, 3 here? There you go. Working good. Now let's say that I want to enter something into, let me quickly check one thing, team. Okay, let's say that I also want to enter this value, miscellaneous. I just wanted to experiment to see where I could fail doing that, and say that before I start entering grants, I want to enter a new thing. So right click, insert new command, go here. I've already mastered the word called type. So putting it in type, and now I'm going to say name equals miscellaneous. I at least hope the spelling is correct. There you go. And now I'll say find. What do I get out here? Located not found. Name equals miscellaneous. The issue is that you will find that the name equals miscellaneous is not working, but name tuition, name books, and all of these have worked. Why? That is not the logic. The logic is Selenium is looking into the source code. So if I right click and say view source, page source, you will see the HTML code for this entire application, right? Selenium is actually looking for information in this code, and that is what is giving it an information to put in here. What is the information that we're going to take? We will take information through which we can identify these elements. All right, team. Now, I don't want to spend too much time going into it. There are about 5-6 minutes left, but what I want to show you, team, we will take this whole thing and go through a data-driven framework to begin with. Okay, similar approach, but I will use TestNG and data provider as the first level, and then second project we will get into that Excel mode and so on. Okay, tomorrow's session I'm going to explain the whole plan of how we're going to progress on it. All right, but I wanted to do a couple of things. I wanted to actually get this outputs. Is it okay, team, if I continue for a few more minutes and then come up to your questions? Okay, cool. So what I want to do is then how do I identify this miscellaneous? How do we identify the target? To do that, at the moment, what we will do is right click on that specific element. When you right click, you will see something called as inspect element. Why do I see inspect element? Why you may not see this? Because I have installed the Firebug tool as I showed you on my Firefox. And that is the reason you are able to inspect elements. Everything that you see in the application are recognized as elements by Selenium. Okay, so if I right click and say inspect this element, the Firebug will take me to that specific code for that element in the HTML code. So if you go here, somewhere it is already highlighted. There you go. The highlighted thing here is the specific HTML code that specific object is pointing to. So if I keep going about to each line, you will see it highlighting different ones. So the code is specified in a specific location. So if you keep expanding it, you will see where that is. Now this is pointing to entertainment. So miscellaneous, if I want, right click, say inspect element. Okay, where is that? Highlighted there. Now if I right click on this and say something called as copy XPath, what it does is it gives me the address for this the way that Selenium IDE can recognize it. Okay, Selenium IDE can recognize. So now I'm going to delete this and paste that whole thing here. What is it? Not concerned right now. Tomorrow we'll focus a little more on that. It's given a whole structure of a string. Do not worry what it is. All I want to do is go to the beginning of the string and make sure that there are 2 forward slashes. Okay. Now we're going to click on the find. When I click on find, you should be able to see that specific field getting highlighted. What that means that I was able to successfully identify that element using Firebug. Does it look similar to any of these things out here? No, it doesn't. It's just generated a different way of identifying it. We will use a different way starting tomorrow. Okay. The other alternate is that, not the other alternate. Now, having done this, what is next? I want to put a value. Let's say I want to put 100. Okay. Find. We've already done this. Good. After we've clicked on calculate, I want to do 2 things. I want to get the value displayed here and store it somewhere. Where? So that I can put it back as an output. I also want the value displayed here and store it somewhere. I also want the value displayed here and store it somewhere. How do I do it from an IDE? New step after we click on this button, correct? So here I'm going to say, this is a new command. Is there something like get value? No. Get. There's nothing starting with get itself. What do I want to do? Get the value that is displayed in that element and store that value somewhere. So I want to store value. Do you see this command, team? Store value will get a value that is there in that field and put it wherever you want. So if I say store value, then what do I do here? What do I put here, team? The identifier for this object. How do I identify? Right click, inspect element, right click, copy XPath, put that whole thing here, and we will put a new 2 forward slashes at the beginning. Say find. Am I pointing to the correct one? Yes. Now I will say that I will put this into a variable by the name v1. That is basically a variable we created. Okay. If I want that value to get displayed, a very simple command called echo, and I will say expense total is dollar curl brackets open v1 curl brackets close. What are these 2 steps, team? Number 1, store value. How do I know it's store value? We have used it. Now you know it. As we go forward, we will use different commands. We will learn as part of it. Okay. How did I identify the target? Right clicking that element and getting that XPath. Copying as is. And I said v1 out here. Does it matter what I give? No, I'm just giving it a name. Store value will get the value from here, but where will it put it then? Where will it store that? I'm saying store it in something called as v1. Now what do I want to do next? I want to see what is there in this v1. Is this 823 going to come up or not? To do that, echo is the command. If you look at echo reference, print the specified message into the table blah 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 somewhere. Okay, expense total is dollar curl brackets v1. That is the structure to get the value in v1. If I don't use this dollar and curl brackets, then it will print v1 as is. Okay, I think we will not go beyond this level at an IDE from a complexity point of view. We will do much more complex things when we get to our program. But let's do a quick run and see how this works. So it's starting from the beginning. Let's see if it goes about doing everything that we want. So it's trying to navigate to chase student loans. click and wait for the new one. I don't need this Firebug out here. That's okay, even if it's visible. All I'm interested to see is what comes out here. I don't want to see any of these steps in between. There you go. Expense total is 923. Hey, didn't we expect 823? But yes, the new one is 923. What we got in the application is getting displayed out here. Similarly, we can do it for this field, we can do it for this field. And that's something that as you watch this video, offline team, you should try it out. All right, team. So that's it for the day one. Very quick introduction to the IDE and how we're going to go about. We will develop a very detailed data-driven framework going forward. We will have a session tomorrow and a continuation session on Monday. So there's going to be about 2-3 days gap in between. I want you to watch some certain videos in the meanwhile. I will let you know through the email as to what videos you should definitely watch. At this point, any questions, team, related to what we are doing in the session? Please, anything that is unrelated, use the Google group, or related with the training, send an email. Let's see, Vimla. We can use name equals miscellaneous also, right? Yes, Vimla. That's exactly what we will come to tomorrow. How do we use the element identifiers like ID, name, or link, and so on to identify them instead of this? How do we put that as part of an XPath? That's what we'll come to tomorrow. Pearl, is it true that Selenium won't recognize JavaScript pop-up? Pearl, I think you're already connected with the Google group, so please post it in there. Can we use any browser to record or only Firefox? Selenium IDE comes with Firefox. So your record only comes with Firefox. Once we've done this and we've moved this test to a programming language, you can then run it on any browser, including your mobile browsers. You mentioned about return of investment. What are the parameters to determine return? Rama, I think this is again a great question to put in the groups, please. Let's see if there's anything else. Can I use Google Chrome instead of Firefox? So to run your tests, you can use Google Chrome. You can also have something like Firebug automatically, I think, is present in Google Chrome. But for your IDE, you cannot. Can't I copy or duplicate the existing step to create new step? Probably, Anuja. I'm not an expert on IDE, as I told you. There you go. I can right click, say copy, and then right click and say paste. So you're able to replicate them. So whatever features you see out here and this right click is basically more of it. I don't think it'll take more than 2 or 3 hours to master IDE. But the remaining 50 to 100 hours of training is all around how do we really get into automation. All right, let me see any other questions regarding the framework. How do we decide the framework? Yeah, that's the whole point. So how do we decide which framework to use, how to use, when to use? As we go about each framework, we will start with one project, this chase20loans.com data-driven framework, project 1, using simple data provider. Then we will get into an Excel-based data-driven framework. Project 2, we will either use TestNG and WebDriver or JUnit and WebDriver, either combination. Then we will get into keyword-driven framework, different application. Then finally a hybrid framework, different application. So multiple projects that we will try and do in this 15 sessions. Can you please let us? Yeah. So team, you're all more than welcome to attend tomorrow. I know some of you are attending this as a demo. Please feel free to go ahead and attend tomorrow. Easy live webinars won't be on mobile phones. No, I've not planned. I will try. While you're testing Kayak, multiple pop-ups open. Can we use Selenium IDE to handle them? Absolutely, yes. Something we will come to. All right. Any other questions that I can address, please? Do we stick to JUnit? So we basically will do Java. JUnit is a small portion of the whole thing. Okay. And TestNG. So it's gonna be Java, JUnit, TestNG. Most of it will be through videos, but a major portion or the important ones, we will also do it in these live sessions. But the good part is they also get recorded and hosted on the videos. Team, you're all welcome to attend tomorrow's session. All right. Any other questions, anyone? Sorry about that extension, went a little slow. Not sure where the time got lost, but thank you for attending this session, team, and we'll see you back tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye for now. Thank you. Bye.